Hey guys, welcome to the DJ Talk Show. My name is George Jett, and today I have a very special DJ. His name is Jovany Hernandez, also known as DJ Geo. DJ Geo, how you doing?
Hey, doing better than terrific. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on this show finally.
Yes. I've always wanted to have you on the show to ask you lots of good questions.
Awesome.
I you've well, first of all, thank you for doing the events that I've sent you to because you are phenomenal. That's number
Thank you.
one.
Thank you. And no, my
Uh,
pleasure. And thank you for sending me those events. So it comes both ways.
yes, clients are very happy with what the work you did. It was nothing but pleasure. They
Awesome.
all loved
Good.
it.
Glad to hear that.
So Giovanni, tell me about. I want to get straight to the point. Tell me
Yeah,
about this MS, which is, correct me on the word.
sure.
What's MS?
It's multiple sclerosis.
Okay. Tell me more about this. Well, how does this affect you on a
Well,
normal day-to-day basis?
gotcha. Well, as of right now, it affects you in separate ways and different timing. It's very unpredictable. It's what they call the phantom disease, because you look great on the outside, but sometimes on the inside, there's a whole whirlwind of effects going on in your body. I was diagnosed in basically December 26th of 2017 was my actual diagnosis. But if you fast forward 18 months prior to that, I was already having relapses. I just wasn't diagnosed, or I was misdiagnosed with something called ADEM, acute disenfibulating emphysemic myelin. Crazy word, but maybe basically what it is mimic MS. They didn't want to stamp my card with the MS card, because once you have the MS card, that's it. You are officially for the rest of your life going to be on medication, and for the rest of your life you're going to be a pre-existing condition patient. So it's a whole whirlwind with medical insurances and the whole spiel. Everything goes up. So I was diagnosed, like I said, December 26, 2017. I decided to wait until after Christmas to actually go to the hospital. I ended up spending New Year's in the hospital because I was having a relapse. And boy, oh boy, have I had some relapse with some unfortunate, uh, basically side effects.
Okay. Now these side effects that you get on a day-to-day basis, how does that affect your life? Not in the DJ aspect
Sure.
of it, because I will ask that later.
Yeah.
So on your day-to-day, what are the symptoms? What do you feel?
Pain and exhaustion. It's hard to explain the pain that comes with MS. Excuse me. It's a nerve pain. But imagine this. I'm just gonna go into MS in a nutshell so you can understand why sometimes I feel the pains that I feel. MS is your own immune system. It's an autoimmune disease. It's your own immune system that's attacking itself. So instead of attacking, I don't know, your liver or anything like that, it's attacking something called the myelin sheathing. In a nutshell, it's very simple to explain it. A myelin sheathing is, pretend this is the outer layer of a cable. Let's
Hmm.
call that the myelin sheathing, and the inside of it, the copper that sends the signal from the computer over to the mouse. Let's call that the nerve.
The nerve.
So it's eating upon the outside of the nerve. So now once it eats the outside of the nerve is exposed, and then every once in a while it cuts that. So it blocks the signal from the computer over to the mouse. So every
Right.
once in a while you can have a whole whirlwind of symptoms. But the pain that we feel is, imagine your part of your nerve has been cut off. So your brain is sending signals from your brain over to the extremities, and the signal's not reaching there, or it's coming out cut or in a
Right.
different type of form.
Okay, so how does that, or has that affected your DJ ability?
As of right now, no. I'm considered a stable patient. Has it in the past? Absolutely. I lost two careers that were in the DJ profession because of my relapsing MS symptoms. I was the headliner at a famous restaurant on South Beach
Okay.
here in Miami, and I was there 6 days a week from 6 to 1, 6 to 2, and I was doing great, making really good income. I enjoyed the crap out of that job, but unfortunately, because of my symptoms, I was paralyzed from the waist down for a little while. I couldn't go back to work. By the time I ended up coming back to work, it was just a whole series of events. I
Got
ended
it.
up having a baby. So by the time I came back, they're like, "Hey, listen, we love you, we thank you, but we got somebody to replace you." Bye bye.
Wow. Wow.
It
So
happens
so it has, obviously it has affected your career
in the past.
in the past. But now you're okay.
I'm good. I'm
And
great.
right, right. No, we know that.
Yeah,
We know
thank you.
that.
No, I'm stable.
Right.
I'm on medication, and the medication is doing what it needs to do. It's doing what
Right.
it's supposed to do, and I thank goodness that I've hadn't had a relapse since February 23rd of 2018.
Oh, okay,
So we're
good.
going on almost 4 years of being completely relapse free.
Right. Now that is something that is not curable.
That is correct. This disease, as of right now, has no cure.
Got it.
They actually changed the name this year, coincidentally enough, from remitting relapsing multiple sclerosis, which was RRMS, which is I was diagnosed with. They changed my diagnosis to relapsing MS or relapsing multiple sclerosis.
Right.
I don't know how or the studies that scientists have done to find out that your MS is never actually dormant. You're just stable, but your MS is always active. It's just not, you're never in remission, basically, is what they're trying to say. Your
Right.
MS is always active in your body.
So leaving that out of the way already, I'm glad you feel better now and that
Thank you.
you're in remission, and hopefully that's not, knock on wood, it's not going to come out anytime soon.
Yeah,
Tell me about your DJ career. What made
sure.
you start DJing?
Oh, this is a fun story. My brother, I was 13 years old at the time, if I can recall. I was about 13. He was around 15, and he was in high school, and he ended up getting some, rink-a-dink equipment, a Newmark CDN 25, and two Gemini speakers that had the tweeters, the mids, and the sub at the bottom, and a little tiny, I don't know, I think it was like a 250-watt amp. I'm talking about old school back in the day. This was, godly,
Don't say the date.
2004.
Don't say the date.
No, no, I know,
You're
I know.
gonna
All right,
date
all right, all right.
yourself.
It was about 18 years ago, 19 years,
Okay.
18, 19 years ago. Anyways, I saw that he was doing it. And he was having fun, and he was making people dance, and I'm like, okay, this is fun. I want to try this. And he straight up told me, no, you can't. You're too young. You got to wait a little bit. I'm like, but I can do it. Why not?
Right.
Well, of course, I did what any little brother would do, and I snitched to my dad. I said, hey, listen, he doesn't want to let me do it. And he goes, you got to let your son do it, your brother do it. And I did it. Lo and behold, I was traveling with him doing $50 gigs. I mean, all night long for 50 bucks. I don't care. I was young. I was having fun.
You were having
And
fun.
it went from him being the DJ to me taking over. And then I met Arturo Morejon.
Right.
I speak highly of him all the time just because he's the one who brought me under his wing. He came to an event that I was at, showed me something called Auto Mix 1.0.
Okay.
So if anybody knows this, this is where virtual DJ first came from. This is before anything came out. This was called Auto Mix, and it blew my mind when I saw DJs, turntables on a computer. I'm like, what is this technology? I like this. I could have all my music in one database. I don't got to carry around records and CDs anymore. Let's go. So I would ride my bike 5 miles to go see him DJ close to my house, 5 miles away from where I live, on a weekly basis. And I just kept going with it and going with it. And I said, I really like this. And I went all the way through that. I got a job at Royal Palace Banquet Hall. Actually, I just said where I'm from, but it's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's all right. And I was 16 years old when I started there, 15, going on 16. And they gave me the job doing weddings, bar mitzvahs, you name it. 3 gigs, 5 gigs a week, getting paid peanuts, but I didn't care. I was happy. It was right next to my house, and I was DJing. I was doing something that I really was passionate and I loved.
Right.
Turning 20, I said, all right, I'm out of high school. Sorry, 19. I'm out of high school. What do I do? I said, okay, well, I finished the Police Explorer program. Maybe I'll go to the police academy. But then I said, you know what? No, let me go to college. And I went to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, and I got my degree in broadcast communication.
Perfect.
Finished that through. So I said, okay, now I have my college degree. I can show my son that, hey, listen, you can do anything you want. Just got to get that degree. School's very important. And I continued going on with DJing until I finally landed the job over in South Beach, and I completely quit DJing. I complete doing anything. I said I'm done because I was headlining now at my own show on the beach 6 days a week, and I loved it.
Now that job in South Beach, that gave you lots of experience because you were
Yeah.
doing it 6 days a week.
Yes.
What was one of the unique benefits that you got from that? What did you learn from those 6 days? What was the main thing that you learned?
From working 6 days at a family-owned restaurant with live entertainment every single day of the week, I learned that on a Tuesday, when there's only 10 people inside of your restaurant, you have to entertain those 10 people no matter what, because if you don't get paid. So I learned how to make the best out of really bad experiences. Imagine going to be a DJ at a live event and they're expecting 60, 70 people and only 10 show up.
Right.
You got to perform for those 10. So it taught me how to be able to do that for a very small crowd
Did you
and rock
feel
the party no matter what.
right? Did you feel pressured at the at that first time when you saw those 10 people there and you're like, okay, how am I going to get
Well,
these? How am I going to entertain? What did you do? What did you do to entertain these people other than playing the music?
sure. So I was actually the headliner MC. So I was on the mic instead of being a DJ. I was doing both, but for the most part, I was the MC. I was the main MC. So what I would mostly do is I would literally go up to people's tables and I'll say, okay, I'm gonna create a connection with them personally. So that when I actually come up on the stage, I already know their names. I can call them up by their names. Got to remember where they're from, what their name is, and bring them on stage to actually do the games that I wanted to do with them, even with only having 10 people. I got crazy and I would actually do a conga line with 10 people inside the restaurant. I didn't care. I'm like, let's go. 10
Right.
people, it's a party.
Right. So I want to ask you another question, but before I ask you that, before I ask you the other question that I was going to ask,
Sure.
the interaction that you had with the clients, um, doing the conga or knowing
Yeah.
where they're from or their name or kind of mingling with them, how did you come up with that idea? Like, where did that come from?
It's just me, being friendly old Geo. I don't know how to explain it. I'm very
So
open. I'm
so
very
that's
friendly.
that's what I thought you were going to say, and this is why I was going to say this, bring up this other question. Did the school, the broadcasting school, did that teach you anything about interacting with the actual clients? Because I know
Well,
broadcast is kind of like radio. You're not interacting with
yes,
somebody. So
yes and
did
no.
you tie something in together with those, your personality and the schooling? How did you do? What'd you do?
Absolutely. Well, the schooling taught me how to use a microphone professionally. So that helped me out first and foremost. I know how to use a mic without any issues. I don't grab the mic and literally just put it up to my mouth. I know the rules and the basic principles of using that. So it taught me that. But it also taught me, especially in the radio world, is how to create connections with people that are not even present with you and connecting to them personally instead of in a group. So when you hear a lot of DJs out there, they say, "All right, you guys," that's wrong. You
That's
don't
correct.
say you guys. You don't say, hey, everybody. You say, hey, how are you doing?
Right.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to every individual. So if you say you, people think you're actually talking to them
To
instead of
them.
talking to an entire group. So it taught me that. I was able
All
to
right,
use
guys.
that.
So that's a quick note there. Learn that from Geo. That's really good. That's a takeaway tip. Um,
Yeah.
I always thought personality
Yeah.
is better than, it's really almost like side by side with selecting the proper music for the crowd. I know a lot of DJs that mix from A to B, from
Okay.
one deck to another deck, and just because they know how to do that, they call themselves a DJ. The personality is something you don't learn, and you obviously have that personality.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's one of the reasons why I hired you. Now, there are many DJs that don't have that personality. Um, what do you recommend to DJs to concentrate more or to concentrate to learn how to be a little bit more presentable other than just the mixing part and the equipment acquisition that they like? I got to get the latest speakers and the latest lights and all that stuff. I don't
Sure.
think that's that important.
You know, and it's funny because I'm very meticulous when it comes to my setups. I like to hide cables galore where you can't see any cables. And sometimes I'm rocking the Rain 12 with the S9, so I'm using two turntables and a mic. But I still like to have my speaker cables go down the stand and just like tidy it up with some gravity clips as I call them, or sprockets. I made up the name. That's all fun and dandy. But at the end of the day, I guarantee you that 95% of the people that are there at that event, they're not really looking at that. And I learned that a long time ago. Doesn't mean I'm not gonna clean it up because even someone that I once know and true and helped me out a lot is actually DJ Scorpio, Eddie. He's the one who helped me. with my setup, he goes, you need to be a little bit cleaner for all these corporate events. Sometimes somebody's looking at that, they're going to take a picture, they
Sure.
see all these wires everywhere. It's not a good look for a professional guy. I'm like, you're right. But he basically taught me that, you got to be presentable when you're ever doing an event. Repeat that question, bro. That's an MS issue. Honestly, it happens
That's
sometimes.
not a problem. That's not a problem because that's leading into the question. So basically what you did is you cleaned up your the cables to make sure you're presentable with your booth and your
Yeah,
setup. But at the same token, your personality,
there you
I
go. Okay.
think, is what brings out the DJ. So you're when you're DJing, the vibe that you're giving by facial expressions, by you dancing, by you interacting, I think that's super important. And that's something that a lot of DJs are very shy of.
Yeah,
All the DJs that I've seen, and I'm going to say the majority of the DJs that I've seen, they don't dance. And I don't mean dance like they're going to break out
yeah, yeah.
start dancing big
I
time,
get
but
where you're coming
move,
from.
and they're not constantly looking at their computer.
So, there's two ways of looking at that, and that's a very vague question in the sense of I agree with you, but I know some DJs that don't dance behind the turntables. But I'm telling you what, they can rock a crowd, and they are so technical with their craft that they don't need to. They're that good, honestly.
Okay.
But at the same time, if you're not that good, fake it till you make it, bro. If you're dancing,
True.
having a good time, I promise you, people are gonna want to have a good time with you. Um,
So, do you
and
think so? Based on what you just said, because we're kind of like a little bit on in opposites. I think personality is a little bit more important. You say that technique is more, just as important or more important.
well,
Explain that to me.
the way I can explain it to you is that when I was learning how to DJ, DJ Infinite told me if you get the girls dancing, the men shall follow. Still took that to head, and I was taught that at the age of 14 years old. I still think about that, and I'm like, he's right. Because at the end of the day, what do guys want to do when they go to the club? What do they want to do when they go to the party? They want to get the groove on with the fine looking ladies.
Right.
You get the fine looking ladies having a good time, the men are going to want to try to dance with them. If you try to get the guys to dance, ladies are going to be like, I don't know what's going on. But in reality, the way I think about it is if you have great music selection, if you have good expressions on the mic, at least, and engage with your crowd and bring them in, you're going to be more successful than if you just play music at the end of the day, in my opinion, as well. But then again, like I said, if you're really good, if you're really that technical, like, I mean, there's some DJs out there, DJ Conflict, for instance, just to throw a name out there, man. He's so technical, and I promise, when he's behind that system, I'm just like mind blown, and everybody's screaming off the top of their lungs for what he's actually doing, mashups, and just he's so technical with it.
Right.
But then let's change it over to somebody really famous, DJ Last. Guess what? As of right now, I heard him DJ the other day. He's DJing, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But for the most part, every single song, he's on the mic nonstop
Right.
because he's DJ Last.
Right.
So two different personalities, two different vibes, two different parties. At the end of the day, if you just play really good music and at the right time and read the crowd correctly, you're gonna be just fine, in my opinion.
I'm gonna ask you a question. You've worked at like bars, lounges,
Still do.
establishments, restaurants.
Did
Okay,
it for
so
five
keep
years.
right, keep that in mind. And this is a discussion that I have with John Q. John Q is my co-host
Okay.
on
Yeah.
the DJ Talk Show. And we always talk about this. How do you feel about management when they hire you? Like, like you understand my question? Like when they
Oh yeah, I
first.
too.
Okay,
I too.
I'll answer that for me. Whatever which way you feel that I express myself.
For the most part, I believe that a general manager at one of those facilities, of course, has to be involved in everything. But if you're hiring an outsourced DJ that's not part of your company to entertain guests at your event, let him work. Let him
Oh,
do his thing.
okay.
But I've been to events where they tell me, hey, listen, we don't want this type of music and this type of music because we don't want that crowd. We don't care if 50 people walk in, let them walk out. We don't want that type of crowd here. And I'm like, oh,
And,
I guess I got to follow what the client's saying because they're the ones paying me. But
and
at the end of the
I've
day,
had that situation. I know exactly where you're
time and
going.
time again,
Right.
time and time
That's
again.
time and time. Have you had management come over to you, or better yet, what percentage of all the clubs, lounges, restaurants only, not private parties, have you done percentage that the manager has given you a list of drinks to advertise or push some sort of something to sell?
It's a coin flip. It's about a coin flip.
You
I don't know
think
how to.
you think it's
I
like 50-50?
For me personally, but that's because I don't really do many bars and clubs anymore. So I'm just speaking from my personal
When you
experience. When
did,
I did, it's about a coin flip still. I still got to say
really,
that's why, yeah, it's
50-50.
about a
So they'll come
50-50.
to you with a list of saying, hey, here's our drink specials, advertise them.
Uh, yeah, sometimes, but if that's not that, they're asking me to either change the music or,
No, that's different.
oh, in that case, yeah,
No,
it's about a coin flip. It's about
really.
a,
So
for
50.
advertising on drinks is about 50-50. I mean, I'm gonna just say the word. I don't care. I was the headliner, like I said, at Senior Frogs in Miami. All right,
Sure.
I was there for the longest time, and on an average given week, I maybe out of 5 days or that I was there, let's say 5 days average, only two of those days would they actually have me advertise. Or towards the end of the night, sometimes they'll be like, "Hey, listen, let's push more drinks, or let's
So
give away some
who
stuff."
said that? Who
Man,
came up to you?
management,
Management. Okay.
management,
Have
and there
you
was like four managers there, so they would all be clashing. And I, one person say this, one person says that, and I'm like, okay, how do I make you guys happy? I had to make a group meeting, like, you guys are telling me this, but you guys are telling me to do that. What do I do?
so my big beef with that with John is that I don't feel that management tells the DJ to advertise drinks. So when you say 50-50, I find that really high because in my situation, and I've done a lot of different clubs and different bars and lounges, I could count the number of times the managers actually come up with a sheet of paper and said, advertise this. Because here's well, let me get your thoughts because I saw you had something to say.
The way I look at it is that if I'm there to help that establishment make money, and if they want me to say, "Hey, I'm promoting these drinks right now because it's gonna help the establishment in their mind to make more money," good golly, I'm gonna say what I gotta say to make the manager happy. Because at the end of the day, of course, you gotta make the clients happy, but if you're making the manager happy, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna want to bring you back.
And that's the bottom line. That's the discussion that me and him always have.
Yeah,
I always feel that I need to go to the bar or the manager or speak to the owner and say, "Hey, I'm a DJ. I know I'm here to entertain the people, but I could also MC." And they know
yeah,
if they're hiring me, they know that I also MC just like you do.
yeah,
But on the other note, I also look for their bottom line. So I know that within the first hour, I'm going to sell enough drinks to pay for my time being there. So I
smart
can
man.
be there for the rest of the 4 hours or for whatever remaining time. And they say, you know what? George just paid for himself. And I
Yeah,
think that's something that that discussion me and John have is that I never see that coming from a manager. I always see that coming from the DJ. And usually it's a DJ that's not afraid of the microphone like you.
yeah.
You're not afraid of the mic. I
No,
mean,
I love the mic.
they can give you the mic and you can say, "You know what? I don't want to DJ." And I'm the same way.
Yeah, yeah, I
Give
don't
me the
mind.
mic. I don't need to DJ
I mean, I was literally the MC for that many years, four
for that
years,
many
and
years.
all I did was MC. So I
That's
wouldn't
it.
even DJ. I would be like, "Hey, I'm rocking the crowd with the mic, man. I'm
That's
bringing them
it.
on the stage. I'm doing games. I'm doing shots. Let's go. Let's have a good time."
And that's what I used to do. I used to go to my buddy's gig, and as soon as I walked in the mic in the location, he was already giving me the mic. It's
Yeah,
like
there
I
you go.
walk in the
Yeah,
door and
yeah,
he's like, "Here," I'm like,
yeah,
"Dude, I'm not getting paid for this." He
yeah,
goes, "Don't
yeah,
worry,
yeah,
you're drinking," you know.
yeah, yeah.
And then eventually I got like an MC job there. But
Nice.
you're
Okay.
right. You're right. Um, So yeah, that was one of those questions that I thought always management should say, hey, we're hiring a DJ. He knows how to MC. He has broadcast schooling, so he's not afraid of the mic. Let's give him a list of stuff, or you can interact with the management and say, you know what, I'm going to increase your bottom line. I'm going to advertise your drink specials or your food specials or football special or whatever it is that you're having. That way we could have your patrons know that you're there.
Yeah, you never know if you advertise a cheap drink for the day, the special drink, and it's only like 7, and the average drink is 10. Maybe a patron that's there is gonna say, "Oh, you know what? It's cheap. Let me just try it." And
Right.
you're making more money at the end of the day.
Right. So are you wow, I don't even know what to ask you. We spoke so much about just about everything, all the nice topics and tips that you brought up. Is there any tips you want to tell, like a beginner DJ? Any tips you might want to recommend that you see maybe a deficiency of new DJs that are coming out that they don't know, that you
Sure.
might be able to help them out? What do you think?
So I'm actually a very unorganized DJ in my opinion. My
Okay.
library is all over the place, but I've been doing it for so long that it works for me. What I can tell you is that if you're beginning and I don't want you to get stuck. That's the worst feeling as a DJ. You were like, I don't know what the heck to play next. Organize it. Make extra folders within folders about different events that you're going to be able to do or different vibes to create, and call it a hip hop vibe, call it a Latin vibe, and just put extra song bases in there to help you get forward. And don't use the sync button. Just don't. You're a sync button guy?
No, I'm not. I'm
Well, I mean,
not. I'm
the,
not. But
the
I
only
do.
reason why I say this is the following.
Well, before
The
we get in,
reason,
okay, go ahead. I want to go back into the, organizing
yeah.
your
Okay,
crates.
I got you.
But go
Is
ahead with the sync button. I don't want to
is
interrupt
I
you.
know some people that use the sync button, they live, ride, and die by it. But what happens if your computer shuts down or something's wrong and you got to go on the fly? You've been using your sync button for the longest. Now you can't mix live
Are you
on the
okay? Are
spot.
you okay with somebody that knows how to mix perfectly
Yeah,
and uses the sync button just so?
yeah, of
Okay.
course, bro. Whatever they do is fine with me.
Okay.
You're talking about a beginner. Practice at home
Oh,
at least. If you
true.
don't feel comfortable, practice at home without using
So
the
are
sync
you
button.
okay with a veteran DJ using the sync button?
Bro, I'm okay with anybody using anything, bro. They're DJ and I
Okay.
love them. Period. I
Okay.
don't. I just
So
whatever works for you, bro.
So
Whatever works for
the
you, do
sync
it.
button the sync button's only for the beginners. Don't learn how to DJ with the sync button because then you'll never get out of it. Is what you're saying?
That's what I meant to say. It took me forever and a day. I used the sync button. I'm not gonna lie to you, and that's why I'm saying it. It's
Got
my
it.
advice for everyone. Why? Because I was so lenient to the sync button that when I went to change over, it took me weeks upon months just to feel comfortable, and I had to relearn DJing all over again because I got used to virtual DJ sync button.
Got you.
I can
Okay.
mix without the sync, but when I started
Sure.
with CDs and records, no problem. But I got so accustomed to it that I needed it
You
until I
needed it.
finally said I'm done with it, and now I don't use it. I don't.
Okay. So going back to the crates, um, the crates. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what you just said is what I'm pushing now. Exactly what you just said. Create different folders for different genres and different events. Like
I
if you
gotta.
could, yeah.
No, go ahead. No,
Oh,
go ahead and keep
so
talking. I want to
different
tell you my
events
notes.
because in the amount of years that I've been a DJ, I've always kept to under 512 gigabytes of, well,
Yeah,
I'm at a terabyte now, but I have all my files under a terabyte. So that's all the years that I've been working because I can constantly delete music. I'm not a music hoarder.
I got
Even
you. I
though
am.
even though I'm pretty sure that I can cut my collection in half. Only put all my files in 512 gigabytes of space. It's
It can be
not a
done.
thing it's not a thing that hard drives aren't cheap. That's not the thing. It's the amount of music. Every DJ thinks that they need to have every single piece of music in case somebody requests it. I say create a list. This is what I'm pushing now. So an educational tip for
Yep.
everybody listening is create a quarter music. So Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 of 2020, and play from that list and create all the hits and all the songs that you really like and you really like the vibe, stick it in there. And play from that list, and obviously create your hip hop list, your salsa mix, your merengue, and all that other stuff. But organize your music. Don't just load everything up.
Yeah, that's the worst thing you can do, because then that's how you get stuck.
And
But
I feel that too.
Every once in a while, every DJ gets stuck every once in a blue moon. It just happens. We have real lives out there, and so we're not always thinking about performing at every single event. We can't be on every single time. It's impossible.
Right.
So organization helps you out, because if you don't feel like DJing that day, you're not feeling too good, you got something going on in your household life, you can easily just go to what and rock the party regardless. You're always going to be on. You can't be off at any given time. You can be a little edgy, but you have to be on the go at every single. If it's somebody's wedding,
right,
they don't care if you don't feel bad. They don't care if you got to go to the bathroom. You got to hold it. You got to do what you got to do to perform. It is what it is. There's no second chances. But even to today's date, like, this is something that I just did at 8:07 on today. That's why I brought it up, and I called it. I can't say it. I don't want to curse, but crunk stuff. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
And even my list is right here.
Got you.
And I'll just go quickly so you can hear. Bring them out. Salt Shaker, Get Low, Never Scared, Going Down. This is crunk music, some stuff from back in the day that you're like, oh man, this is what I was listening to when I went to the club in 2006. But why don't I have a folder for it? Now I'm gonna make it.
Right, exactly. So create those little party your
subfolders,
your subfolder, and put the bangers. Those, I call those
there you
bangers.
Go. Yeah, bangers.
Old school bangers that it doesn't matter where you're at. Everybody knows that you're gonna play Get Low, and everybody's gonna go nuts.
Yes.
And those are old classics already. But DJs don't have that sorted. And then I saw Nick Spinelli. He did something really cool. He's got a folder called Left Field or something like that, which is crazy bangers that you typically don't play. Like when he says when he gets stuck, right? And he's a good DJ, but when he gets stuck, he just goes in that folder and just throws in a crazy vibe, a crazy banger that it's not your typical song. And that gets him out of a rut, or it could change the vibe to a better thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start doing that. I learned that from him a couple of episodes ago that he spoke about. So I like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. People don't realize how much work we actually put into when we're not actually performing.
Sorting music.
Sorting, getting, downloading. Everybody's like, oh, how do you get your music? They always ask me that question. I'm just like, honestly, I don't. This is the crazy part. I don't. I pay money. I pay for subscriptions. I just don't have the subscriptions. I pay someone, and he ends up downloading the music for me. He gives it to me, and then I just organize it later on. Or he organizes it for me, and I just drop it in the folder. I'm like, I'll figure it out.
Right.
I'll figure it out.
Right. So
experience,
So when you copy your files over, let's say obviously let's say he gives you a bunch of files, you put it in there. Do you go in there and play a couple of the tracks and then delete the stuff you don't like, or do you just leave it there?
I'm a hoarder, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. Unfortunately, I keep it in there.
I know.
It's the truth. I don't want to sit here
and
lie.
You keep even if you hear it and you're like, I don't think, you keep it.
Yeah, and you never know. And you know what? I'm glad I do that. But everybody's different.
For the first year, I think that's okay.
Well, the reason why is because there's some songs that I said, oh my God, this wouldn't work at a party. But there's a lot of corporate events that I DJ at that it's not really a party vibe. It's straight up everybody just enjoying good music in the background. And those songs work perfect for that situation. I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I didn't throw this away, because even people are looking at me like, okay.
Question.
Like the Temptations. I have a song by the Temptations, Migrants.
Okay.
Old school. You can't play it at a party, but at a corporate event makes people turn heads and be like, damn, that's pretty cool.
But do you move that into a corporate old school Motown folder?
I will, now that you said it.
That's what I was saying. So what I have is that I'll get a bunch of files. Usually I like to pre-sort it. So before I move it over to the computer, into my DJ computer,
Yeah.
I'll go through it. And whatever I know that I'm definitely not going to play, I delete. But sometimes you get 1,000 files. And to go through
Yeah, it's
1,000
tough.
files,
It takes too many hours.
it takes a long time.
Woo.
So
I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
so what I do is, as I play them, sometimes I tag them. I have a system that I tag it. And then later on, throughout a year after, I can go in and say, I know what I can delete or cannot delete. Like, for example, my history on my Serato is from 2014. So I have every single event that I've played since 2014 loaded in my computer. And I can go in and say, I know what I've played. And I also know what I haven't played. So
Yeah.
I would say that technically I can say if I haven't played it in 10 years, chances are I'm not playing that song.
No, I think you're right. I think
You know what I mean?
later. Yeah, I got you.
I think 5 years is a lot.
Yes and no, but if you actually say that, and I go back to thinking about, and I'm just going through songs that came to my mind when you said that. Grind Mode, I'm So High. It's a song that I don't play on an average basis.
You
But
don't.
now that you said that, if I go to an event and there's people my age there, if I play that song, everybody's gonna be like juking, and they're like, okay, and then you can just keep going with those songs from 10 years ago. So
That's
tomato.
why. Yes, you're right. You're right, and that brings a great point. That's why it's good to make a playlist.
Yeah,
Make
exactly.
an old school, what you consider old school, what you grew up with, what you vibe to,
Which
and you
crazy
say,
is-
I'm gonna put grind mode in there,
yeah.
and I'm gonna add all the other ones that are similar from that era, and call it Geo's old school.
Yeah,
I
have
also
a lot of those.
I also go in there, and if I hear something that's old from 2016 or 17 or 18 that's a little older already, I'll put respin. I'll put in the comments respin, and I put the year that I added it, that I tagged it. So
Sure.
let's say it's a 2018 song, I'll put respin 2021. That way I know that in 2021 I kind of jumped through that, and I'm like, oh, there's a whole bunch of respins here that are great songs that I just totally forgot to play.
Yeah.
Like Grind Mode.
I don't know. It just hit my head, but I don't know.
Great song. Great song.
Oh,
And you
especially
don't
in Miami. No, you
Right.
don't.
Right. Well, Gio, how do people reach you? Give your information so people could find out how to get a hold of you.
Awesome. Well, I'm on Instagram. Of course, everyone has an Instagram. It's very simple. It's DJ Gio Miami. That's my Instagram. And my Facebook is my name, Jovany Hernandez. It's plain and simple. It's very, very out there. I'm not a big social media guy, which it's unfortunate for a DJ, I know. And I stay relatively busy, and I'm blessed to say that, just mostly through the old school method of word of mouth and people knowing who you are and like hiring me through that aspect. But I need to get on social media. But those are the best ways. And I have all my contact information on there. So Instagram and Facebook has my cell phone number, my email, my
Right.
social security. Just kidding.
Yeah. So I'm sure other DJs and maybe some of your clients might watch the video in the future.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, to give you credit, Gio's a very good DJ. I would
Thank you.
hire him in a minute. And I'm a DJ too.
Yep,
But
yep.
I would definitely hire DJ Gio for any of my events. I feel confident that he will do an amazing job. And
I
if you
appreciate
guys
it.
are
Thank
looking
you.
for a DJ, please highly consider DJ Jovany. So, dude,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
that is, my way of saying thanks.
I appreciate it, George. Thank you so
And
much.
thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure. Anytime.
And thank you for being on the show. Have a great day.
Thank you twice.
Bye.
You got it. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.